Good morning. Smitty not at the shop, in the truck, heading to New Hampshire on this gorgeous December morning. All right, let's show you what we're picking up this time. And there it is, 2010 Road Glide out of Candia, New Hampshire, which is clearly the land of motorcycles and ATVs, because they got a ton of them. I think the loader said somewhere in the somewhere in the 100 range count-wise. Fortunately, this one was sitting inside. They said the run and drive bikes typically they keep indoors. It's just easier to move them around and load them. All right, let's get this thing back to New York. All right, guys, as I mentioned, 2010 Road Glide. This has been sitting here a couple of months. I had to finish up. I had the Street 750 I had to finish putting together, and also the 2010 Dyna Street Bob. Those videos are somewhere, probably at the end. So this has been here a while. I don't remember if I'm going to have to look back. I might have done a walk around with this bike already. If so, then I'll insert it right now. Minimal damage on this thing. This bike's got 33,000 miles. Got the big apes on it. You know, it's a salvage bike, so it's got some damage. Purely cosmetic. Bike runs, rides, everything works on it. As you can see, it's pretty spiffy. It has been sitting at Copart since June. Fortunately, though, inside. So other than being dusty and dirty, it hasn't been subjected to the weather like some of the bikes, like the Dyna that I just picked up. You can find a link to that video at the end of this one. Yeah, so let me give you a quick rundown on this. Minimal damage, as I said. Front fairing. Took the brunt of the hit right here. Cracked the outer fairing. Cracked the inner fairing. Molding's hanging off, so that's shot. Front fender. Not really sure what happened there, but it got waffled on that side. And also got waffled on this side. Really bizarre. But anyway, front fender. So we got inner and outer fairing. Front fender, crash bar. That's damaged right there, plus this is bent back. It did what it was supposed to do, though. Saved the engine, saved the gas tank, unlike my 17 Street Glide. So yeah, we will be replacing that. And otherwise, cosmetic damage to this left side bag. Obviously, it got scratched up there. A little damage to the latch, which will be real easy to clean up and respray. And then we'll respray the whole bag. So that's really it as far as this goes. Little spot America on there. What did I say? Yep, 33,736 for the mileage. A little bit of damage to our grip there, which we'll clean up and probably respray. I don't even think we have to replace that. We can if we want to. Otherwise, these were, he had some lower fairings on the crash bar. They looked like maybe they were some kind of cheap aftermarket thing that got destroyed. What else we got in there? Yeah, Screaming Eagle tuner. Keep with bike. Yeah, it is a Screaming Eagle too. I kind of was just talking out my ass. Cool. Says keep with bike. We'll keep it with bike. Sorry, just stuffing it back in the box there. Let me see if we got anything in this. I don't like these old style bags. They're a pain in the ass to get in and out of. Watch that. Yeah, there's the other pieces of the lower fairing again. As handy as they can, I mean, these are shot, but as handy as they can be, I probably won't be replacing them. I personally don't like the look of them. we'll leave that up to the next owner. If they want to replace them, they can. Let's see, a little bit of garbage in there. And that's pretty much it. So let me fire this thing up for you guys so you can hear it. And then we'll start tearing into it. That's pretty sexy. Neutral, run. All right, so actually the first thing I'm going to do is get this crash bar out of the way. On this bike, it's tied into the fairing with a couple of brackets. Looks like that one broke loose. This actually had some lower fairings on it, which I'm not going to be replacing. So let me work on getting this. Looks like we got a couple of bolts on the bottom. You got the bolt up front in the center here, and then we'll work on those brackets. And there you have it. That's out of the way. So back to those brackets that were hooked to the crash bar. Got a couple of 1/2-inch nuts there on either end. They actually hold the directional in, but I am going to have to remove them so that I can remove the fairing. So let's get them off of there and out of the way. Okay, with those nuts removed, then you can just pull the directional off of there. This one has not been hacked with as far as wiring, so we can just squeeze and unplug. Let me take care of the other side next. Let's see what we got here. We got adjustment. It's kind of an interesting windshield. I can't honestly say I've seen one of these before either. It's adjustable. We're just trying to pull it up and we'll get to these windshield screws and see if that helps us get fairing off. Just like that. All right, so we've got the directionals off. We've got our T-screws out. There's kind of like hooks that hold this on. Typically it's an upward pull and then out towards me. That's oftentimes easier said than done. Oh, there it goes. See, what we have to watch for here is I got a broken speaker back here. Typically, if you were working on something that's not already banged up, you would want to cover your front fender and just take some precautions. You can see we got a speaker hanging here. That's broken free. And it looks like... can't really tell. These are upgraded speakers. Nice. Can't really tell if that's soldered on. It is. Let that hang. Those wires are soldered on there, and then I'm sure they're plugged in further down there. But anyway, you got to disconnect your headlights next. Once you unplug them, then you can lift the fairing right off. So yeah, obviously we've got a broken mount where the speaker went. These are upgraded speakers though. And I'm following the wiring and I'm going, wow, somebody did a really nice job. This is, I would think, so we got a light that popped out of that. Two lights that popped out. I would think that this was a professional job because it's super clean wiring wise. And then if you come over here, you see we got a nice little amp set up. So this is kind of cool. Let me unplug these speakers now. Just let me, top one is for the right speaker. Bottom one is for the left speaker. I'm just saying that for my own memory for later. All right, so we're back to just basically what I'm doing is unplugging everything. It's gonna have to be fed. They've got it zip tied to the bracket here. It's all gonna have to be fed through a small area in the fairing when we pull it off. They really raised the bar as far as getting this in here nice and clean and organized. Always at the most inopportune moment. Memory card was full on the other camera, so I just had to purge that. That inner fairing is off. See it laying over there. Basically just a matter of the four nuts, in case I didn't catch it. Four nuts disconnected. Feed the wires through. Protect your fender if it doesn't look like that. Maybe even take it off. Those are my cliff notes. All right, I'm gonna break the box open for the new fairing and assess the condition of that, what that looks like, and decide whether I'm gonna paint the inner fairing or not. Let's check that out. All right, well, in the interest of time and reluctantly, I am not going to paint the inner fairing gloss black like I had considered. I suppose if I were keeping the bike for myself, I would absolutely do that, but I got a little bit of a time crunch here and I'm kind of anxious to get the bike together. Yeah, and that would hold the whole process up probably for 2 days. So let's get to getting on this. I just jumped online and ordered a few miscellaneous little parts I'm going to need. New windshield grommets, some trim for between the two fairings, that type of stuff, which I can obviously add after the fact. I want to get the inner fender on there mounted up, so I got to just swap the remainder of the speaker brackets over and then the gauges, and then we'll start putting this thing together. A couple of small things I'm running into here, which is, does not surprise me. So if you see these little small raised areas, they all have that. And that's to put pressure on the gauge. Without that, you end up with this here. Not a huge issue. What I'll do is I'll probably just hot glue, put a hot glue bead around the outside of them. Or what I might do is lift them back up, put a little bit of hot glue in there, and then drop them back down just to keep them from rattling, obviously. But those little raised bumps were not on this. Number 2 issue, your little areas here, that's where the speaker grill bolts down. They're too short on the new fairing. They're a little bit longer on this fairing, as you can see. So as a result, the screws aren't long enough. So I got to get some longer screws, see what I have in stock here, so that we can screw that down. Word to the wise, guys, make sure you measure the screws, because they screw into the front of the fairing, and if you get one that's too long, it'll blow right through the fairing. You see what I have there? I just measured them out, and I had something that would work, but just a little bit too long, so I'm just cutting them down with the zip wheel. All right, so all our gauges are in. Our speaker mounts are squared away with those shorter screws. I'm gonna hold off putting the speakers on until after the fairing is up. I got the radio back in place. Next thing to do is just snake the wires back through and hang this back on the bike. Again, 2-person job, not really a 1-person job. Well, as I said, that was ugly. Definitely a 2-man job. If you can at all help it and you're doing this, have a buddy stand by. That was just not the way to be doing this, but it's in. It's not damaged. It looks good. We're going to call it a win. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here. I ordered Velcro, replacement Velcro for the amp. As I mentioned earlier, I ordered trim for it. I ordered some grommets for the windshield. There's a handful of things that are going to have to go on here before I button up the outside of the fairing. In the meantime, though, I'm just going to mount the speakers up, and I'm going to focus on just cleaning all this wiring up and getting it mounted up in a nice, neat fashion. All right, so here's what we got so far. Overall, for the price of this, I'm fairly satisfied. There's little imperfections, like I mentioned, like the stereo doesn't fit perfectly in the opening, which makes this a little bit difficult to open. That there. Again, little tiny things that going from Harley quality to aftermarket is, it would be expected. All right, let's continue on. All right, getting ready to take this front fender off, and I can tell you this, it would be 1,000 times easier with the wheel off. I don't plan on taking the wheel off unless I have to. But anyway, if you look in here, if you can see in there, come on, focus. There's the bolts, 1/2-inch bolts. I don't know if you can tell, but this metal tab in the center there, it joins the 2 bolts together, and then it's got little tabs that fold over. There you can see, I've already unfolded them on that bolt. So I have to do the same to the rear bolt, and then we'll just pull them out and sneak this fender right out of there. Just like that. Just a piece of cake, I'm hoping. There you go. That fender is in pretty rough shape. I don't remember if the new one is painted or not. It's probably just flat black, but let me go check it out. All right, both fenders are done. Front fender for the Road Glide, rear fender for the Sporty. If you're doing a denim finish, any of the brands online as far as a match for the color are fine. In terms of the clear coat, which is what's really important when you're spraying denim, use Color-Right. That's the brand right there. This is not it. They sell it in a mixture. I don't recommend using their application process. They sell like an aerosol can. They give you the clear and the activator to put in a little aerosol can. I didn't have any luck with their applicator. But if you're spraying it from a traditional spray gun, it works fantastic. Heads up, it's pricey. It's $90 for about 3/4 of a quart. But believe me when I tell you, it is worth the extra money. It is super easy to spray. It goes on exactly as you would expect it to. And that's my recommendation for an eggshell or a matte or a denim clear coat. Quick heads up, you're going to notice, like with the Color-Right, as any of them, it goes on flatter than what, say if you're trying to match one, a front fender to a rear fender. Keep in mind, guys, that over time, as you wash this bike and little microscopic, scratches and wear comes down on that, it doesn't make the denim glossy, but it makes it shinier than when it originally comes on the bike, and also when it originally comes out of the spray gun. So just keep that in the back of your head. Don't be disappointed if you look and go, oh, wow, that's a lot flatter than the bike, than the other parts of the bike. Well, it's going to be. My suggestion there is leave it be, let it cure, wait a couple of weeks, and then give it a couple of really good, normal washes. And you'll find that it'll start to match the rest of the bike pretty quickly. Just going to work on cleaning up these scratches on this bag on the Road Glide. I'm going to try and save the stripe. I don't know if that's feasible or not. If not, I'll wipe it right out. But I'm going to start with, this is I don't know if it's PVC. For all intent and purpose, it's plastic. So anyway, I'm going to start with 220 grit. Figure out what I do with my sander. We're going to start with 220 grit, and I'm going to hit these spots and try and smooth them out, and then I'm going to get progressively lighter from there. Let's see if we can eliminate a lot of these deep scratches. We got a couple of real deep scratches in there. We're going to use Bondo on that. There you go, a little bit of Bondo, a little bit of sealer on there, and then we're just going to touch it up. Not looking for perfection. It's a 2010 bike, so I don't want the bag to stick out, in comparison to the rest of the bike. So I don't get too nuts with it. So I'll show you what it looks like when it's all done. And there you have it. There it is. It's mounted back on the bike. I blended the clear around the sides. It's a little bit dusty now because it's been sitting on the bike, but it came out pretty good. The only thing that even you would notice is different. See how it's a little bit darker between the red stripes. That's because that's the original paint in there. But outside, you can't even tell that. So I'm very happy with the way that came out. You can see how it matches the rear fender and the other bag perfectly. All right, so we had to provide just a small amount of relief on the top of our radial brackets here. They were scuffing on the raised part of the fairing. So I think we got it now. Let's see. You know, aftermarket and all being what it is. There it is, boom. Just gotta bring these together, the screws. Close that gap significantly. Otherwise we're in trouble. That gives you an idea what it's going to look like. I gotta see why there's such a large gap there. I'm sure there's just a little bit of clearance issue. But let me see if I can get that buttoned up next. Starting to look like a Road Glide again. For the record, that windshield would not be my my choice. It is kind of unique. It's you loosen these knobs here. I don't know if I showed this before or not. It's adjustable. Okay. I think it detracts from the looks of the bike, but I'll leave it up to the new owner to decide whether they're going to keep that or not. Me personally, I would not. Well, there she is, right back where she started. Just in a little bit better shape. One last thing to do, let's just give this a good scrubbing because it is filthy, and then I'll do a walk around. All right, quick recap of the 2010 Road Glide now that it's all set. Replaced the entire fairing assembly, inner and outer. There you have that. This was a simple one, really. Replaced the front fender and also had to paint that. A nice shiny new crash bar, as you can see there. And then we had to touch up and respray that bag right there. And we managed to leave the stripe. I don't know if you guys, there you go. It's a little bit filthy right now. It's covered in dust. I did end up swapping those grips also, rather than, I was just gonna clean up the end of that grip, but you know, they're inexpensive enough. So I put a set of matching grips on it just to finish it off nicely. And that was really it for this bike, wasn't it? This is a really cool bike. I really like it. Now that we're heading into spring, I'm hopeful this will sell quick. And now we're going to jump on the little 883 Sportster. It's going to be our next one. All right, this is a 2010 Road Glide. I'm Smitty, and I'm out.